I'm exhausted today. So, welcome to After the Final Set. My name is Luke, and as always, I'm sharing my reflections after my workout. Like I always say, training helps me to think about standard challenges in a completely new way, and I wanted to share them with you so that you can also enhance your reflections, whether it be after a workout or after something else. Anyway, intro done. Let's get right to it. So, I want to challenge you guys. So, what do you think is the difference between knowing something and knowing something? Now, I know I just changed the tone of my voice, but what I meant is, what's the difference between, for example, knowing how to do a deadlift versus knowing what a deadlift is, or the other way around, doesn't matter how you think about it. Knowing what a deadlift is, knowing the name deadlift, knowing that it is an exercise, an all-body exercise, that's just knowing what a deadlift is, just as an example. It's not necessarily knowing how deadlifts work, how to maximize what you get from a deadlift, how to minimize any injuries or negative aspects from the exercise. One thing that I learned after I started to get a personal trainer was that I started to learn not just what the exercise is, but how it works. And then I realized something else about myself, something deeper that goes beyond just exercising. What I realized is that I have a habit that if I know what something is, I switch my brain off from learning more about that particular topic. In some ways, I learn more about topics that I have no idea about than I do about topics that I fundamentally know what they are, but I don't know how they work. Now, this is a problem, but it's become a huge problem now. And I can give you one simple reason why. We are in the age of buzzwords. Probably the most famous buzzword at the moment is artificial intelligence, followed by the next word, agentic. At some stage in time, you're going to come to an understanding of what such topics are. But that doesn't mean that you've even scraped the surface of knowing how they work. And if you're anything like me, and you stop learning how things work because you think you understand what they are, this could be very, very detrimental towards your personal development and your professional development. I'm going to share with you a story about my time at work. I work in industrial automation and engineering. I'm not a technical person. I'm actually, I work on the finance side of the business, and I have been really interested in the data side of automation. I find it fascinating how we can leverage from data to be able to manage our assets on the industrial floor in a more efficient manner. So I have been really trying my best to educate as many people, not just in the organization, but my customers as well, about the value of just understanding how your machinery is working via the data that you have. The funny thing is, simultaneously, I have also a lot of friends in the company who work in different areas, and I have a very good friend of mine who started in a small, I would say a small subsidiary of my company. And the minute he told me the name of that subsidiary, I basically said, oh yeah, I know what it is, because I had heard of it before. I just never understood what they did. But my mind had convinced myself that I knew what it was. In fact, based off the name of this subsidiary, I actually thought it had something to do with lighting. Well, today I discovered that this subsidiary essentially owns an end-to-end solution of asset management, specifically strategic asset management. It's It's exactly what I have been working on for the last few months, even almost the last year. I was stunned to think that I have been so close to a perfect solution or a near perfect solution, and yet I blocked it out of my peripheral vision just because I came to the conclusion that I already knew what it was. Now, this is just a small story to teach you guys about taking the time to continuously learn even the things that you think you know what they are. Everything is evolving so quickly. If I think about my professional life, I need to continuously revisit what exactly AI is, what exactly digitalization is. Sometimes, I'm even working in the finance field, and sometimes I need to remind myself that I need to relearn what finance is. Bringing it back to my workouts became more effective when I understood how the exercises are working. And as I become older, the same exercises work differently on my body, and I need to adapt. So getting the most out of my training, getting the most out of my professional life means revisiting things that I thought I understood and I thought I knew. The brief message that I want to send is stay humble in what you know. It is changing all so rapidly. There are so many moving parts. There's so much development that what you know typically becomes outdated very quickly and requires that you continuously learn. So, my message to you, stay curious, stay humble, don't be afraid to learn or relearn something that you have learned in the past. It's definitely not a waste of time, and it might leave you feeling the way that I feel, which is incredibly empowered that I still apparently have the learning ability of a kid. I just need to be humble enough to be able to accept it and embrace it into my life. So on that note, thanks a lot for joining me. As always, share if you think this is going to be helpful for anybody else. Ciao.